Hello. Am I audible? I just got a power cut.
Yeah, Tarin, you are audible.
All right. Thank you. I won't be able to turn on my camera, unfortunately, because I'm having a power cut. But let's start. Hello there, and good evening, everyone. And first and foremost, let me welcome you on behalf of the FOSS community and Mozilla Campus Club of IIT. Welcome to the second day of Open Brackets MERN Stack webinar series. My name is Taran Dattanaike, and I'll be your host for this evening. Today, we will be hearing all about front-end development using MERN Stack. And before we begin, a shout out to our mentoring partner, Gapstars, which is a company that is dedicated to finding, hiring, and facilitating developers in a Scrum team format for companies and startups which are looking for offshore developer teams. The audience, please be noted that a Padlet link will be shared on the chat in a moment where you will be able to ask your questions. Now, without further ado, let me introduce our mentors for this session. As you may already know, it's Mr. Ishan Amarasekara, Mr. Sukitha Jayasinghe, and Mr. Randilu Soysa. Mr. Ishan is an associate technical lead at Gapstars, and he's also working as a front-end developer at carve.com. And he's a UI design and web development expert, and he has a good experience working with REST API and microservices. Mr. Sukitha Jayasinghe is a software architect with more than 10 years of experience in designing and developing enterprise and cloud applications. And he's currently working as a principal engineer at carve.com and Gapstars. Mr. Randilu Soysa is a senior software engineer at Gapstars and also works as a full stack developer at carve.com. And with that note, I would like to hand over the session to our mentors. Over to you.
Thank you, Tarin. Okay, guys, let me share my screen first. Okay. Can you all see my screen? Okay, cool. Okay, now just give me a sec. Okay, I'll close this. Okay. Okay. Let's get started. Okay. So guys, okay. So today I'm going to talk about React mainly, the front end element of the MERN stack. Uh, so what is React? It's a JavaScript library, and it's not a framework. Like if you compare it with something like Angular, which is a full-blown out framework, React just provides us a library that has a part of HTML and a JavaScript where we can build upon it. So we have a more freedom in building while using React rather than with Angular. Like there's a architecture already given by the Angular community. Yeah, we usually follow that. Like you have to have modules, components, services, and it's predefined. But in React, it's all up to the architect or the developer who's developing it. Like he can write it in a single folder, put everything in the src, and just put component after another, or he can divide it into small reusable components, have a service layer or a dynamic hook layer. Uh, it's up to him what he wants to do in React. And with the if you consider the learning curve also, React has a very easy and quick learning curve compared to something like Angular. And we are using, because of this, we are using React to create dynamic client side rendering applications quickly. Like you get a small boilerplate code where you can just create app, do npm start, and it's running, and you can just build upon on that. But considering other stuff, other languages, even if it's Angular, or even if we are going with a Java JSF sort of a platform, you have to add so many uh, components, even just to get you started and seeing a hello world in the screen. So with React, it's much more easier to be done. And at the same time, as I said, we are using JavaScript, and we can write it with TypeScript. TypeScript is like a superset of JavaScript where like you can give definitions like you can give the types of the objects and everything. So it's much more uh, declarative. That's the term. And there are two ways of writing a React component. One is functional, and the other one is class. The functional one is like uh, the it has come recently before like after classes, and functional is much more easier to grasp, and it's like the future of React. And React was founded by Facebook in 2013. So like Facebook is like working on it, so like there's a huge dev community behind it. So like even if you are thinking like what will happen, will React go away, will React be a dead language in a few years, uh, with Facebook being the source there, like we can guarantee that they will have a good future in the future. Just give me a sec. Okay. And if you are thinking of what are the like very common applications that's using React, so these are just about 10 15 names, like popular names who are using React. uh, like if you take Facebook or Instagram, they are not completely on React. They have built most of their components, and like they are using it where they think that React will have a strong impact on them. So uh, there are millions of well-known websites and web applications that use React. So like you can guess like how dynamic and diverse it is to use and easy to use React. And okay, the key features of React. The first one is JSX. That's JavaScript extension. Is built upon components. Like you can nest components inside one another, and everything is created to do a single purpose. That's the main goal of React components. And in React, we are following the virtual document object model, the DOM, VDOM. Like what it does is like it keeps a copy of the original DOM as a virtual DOM, and when we do any sort of a change, or like you enter a value and uh, press enter, then you want to see it in a table. So what happens is, rather than directly going and changing the DOM itself, it goes and updates the virtual DOM, and then it compares the virtual DOM against the DOM, and it checks for the difference, and only updates that changed part only. So it's very what you call efficient, and it's very subtle. There's the cost of rather than the cost of updating the DOM by itself. And React follows a one-way data binding. That means like if you have a parent and a child, you can always pass data from parent to object directly through variables. Like you can mention this is the value, but you can't do it vice versa. You will have to have a method mentioning what do you want to pass. Like you have to wrap the values that you want to pass in a method and pass it to the parent only. So in this, like the clarity is much more higher. Like if you consider something like in Angular where it's two-way binding, like you can pass in and out of a child component, and it's very hard to sometimes keep track of what's happening and how we uh, designed it. So this ensures the component clarity and follows the nested child components within a parent component. you will see what these mean when we start coding. So shall we start the let's start the live coding. First of all, you can either use the terminal in your IDE. I'm using VS Code. You can use VS Code or something similar like that, or you can use a third party console like this a terminal. It's item. That's what I'm using. I'm always keeping a separate terminal for the to check the logs, to check the errors, and so I would have a much more cleaner VS Code experience. And let me show what I think I showed you this yesterday as well. This is the application that we are trying to create. I'm not sure whether we'll be able to uh, complete everything today, but we'll try our best. Uh, and this is a simplified version of what we can create. Like, this is something that's achievable today, and if we have time, we'll add all the stylings, we'll have the features that I showed there, something similar to this. uh, so let's start. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to go to your terminal, go to the preferred path, and you can do a npx create React app. Oh, React app. To-do list. So this is a command that you want to run. It will take a minute or two. Yeah. And by the way, I'm not sure whether everyone received this file. So let me quickly share it with y'all. This has everything, where to start. Like, I hope that you all have Node installed in your machine, and what are the plugins that we are going to use, and how we are going to create our application. So let me share this. Where's the chat? Yeah. Mm, okay, that's so then okay, the command is still running. Let's give it a minute. While this happens, this is going on, you all also can create your own application with the create React app command. Mm. Mm. Okay, okay, and uh, so next, what you have to do is you have to cd into the application you just created. Uh, okay, so we are in, and then you can just do a npm start. Usually the server starts on 3000, but I'm already having a application running on 3000 and one on 3001. So when I just OKs this, it will open in 3002. And that's what I said. Just like that, you are up and running. You can start coding. Let me show. What you want to do next is open your VS Code. Let me quickly open one file. New. Okay, and we can open folder. Okay. This is the code base that we created just now, and our starting point would be app.js. Like actually, it's index.js. It's wrapped our app.js component in a strict mode, and on app.js, like they have given you this view. Uh, uh, so what we can do is we can just remove this part. Okay. Guys, I'm getting like thrown out of the window when someone comes in. Is there a way to stop seeing that in uh, Zoom? Uh, yeah, you can see it just says hello world. So that's the ease of making creating an app. Like if you've been working with something like Java, JSF, or even Angular, the start of code and starting to create is much, it's little bit bigger, like time costing than this. So let's get like started with the code. The first thing, it's like usually we try to break our application into components, areas. One is the UI part. UI part is mainly uh, made out of components, and there's another part where like services, like what Randilu created yesterday, we have to consume them through an API, like fetch them. So we have to keep them separated from our main logic. Or we can write it there and then, but it's not the readability is really less. And if you are going creating a like a lengthy code, like if the code base is gonna grow, it'll the readability will be a nightmare. Like the if you are working in a team, the teammates will have a really hard time of um, reading your code and understanding. So what we do is like uh, we put the uh, UI paths to a folder called components. And in the components, we can start writing our first component. So usually we create a JS class and a CSS class. Like when we want to write custom classes or anything, we are going to keep them in that CSS class. So what we do is like we create a folder with the name that we want to create. Like now I'm going to show the to-do list. So my folder will be to-do list. My file will be to-do list.js. And then uh, Uh, First of all, I will import React. Then I will create a component, a function, arrow function called to do list. And this to do list, we have to export it so the our other components can recognize it or find it. So what we will do is like we'll say export default.
Mr. Ishan, sorry to
Yeah,
interrupt. Some asking if you could increase the font size a little bit.
is it okay
Yeah,
now?
that's better. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay.
Thank you.
So real sorry for that. Okay, to do list, and then we will be returning uh, div, and inside that div we will be writing to do list. Okay, that's it. This is all we will write for now. What we'll do is we'll go here and we'll remove this part and okay, we can remove this as well. Give me a sec. S- uh, I'll add this part. Okay, so we are seeing the to-do list. So like the component that we created here is exported here and it's being showing. But you can see now it ain't so pretty. Like it's just a value there. Like we can't like we'll have to write styles to make it pretty. So what we can do is like we can write styles here. We'll go style, display, next, right, and center, and we can write this and see it will be moving here, but we can do something like we can do style, uh, we can say uh, sorry font size equals 24 pixels and um, font weight. So, okay, and you get that. But you can already see like we have only showing to-do list in here. But if you write styles in here, it'll be a like the your code will like be cluttered and it'll be so much long. So there are two things we can do. The first thing that we can do is like we can move this to uh, a file called to do list dot css and we can give uh, to do class name here container and we can copy what we wrote here but we can't copy it directly like these classes don't work here font size and we have to make it this and font weight right here, and this is not there, and we have removed this and there. And the other one is we'll name it page header. We gave it the font. Oh, to contain just. Oh, I'm seeing. Okay. Oh, this. Where did I write here? Oh, I messed it up. Let me rename this to page header, and I'll remove this, and I'll have here, and I'll add these styles here. Display and justify center. Display flex, justify. Fine. Content center, and I'll close this. What I'll do next is I'll import this since it's in the same folder. I'll just mention to do this dots. Yes, and then I will go. I'll remove this class name. All the classes are named. The property attribute that we want to have here will be class name, not class. And in here we'll have to do container, and here it will be class. What was class? Added to page. So let's see. Okay. It added the style, but not the container. Same. Not sure. Okay, give me a sec. Let's inspect what happened there. Okay. It's having display. Okay, it's been overrid. We can add important line, but anyways, we'll go from here. What I wanted to show you was like we can simplify our code way easily with something like this, rather than having to write so much of styles, inline styles here. And there's a better way of doing this that's mentioned in here, where we can use third-party libraries to do this, and one of them is the bootstrapped. This is a like a library which is used very commonly in the industry, which is very much easy to do start and get working, and the documentation is really good. So this is the npm package manager, node package manager, and what you have to do is like you can just copy this line, go to your terminal, just stop the terminal for now, and you can install the bootstrap. library. Okay, we can start our code there, but in order for to that to work directly, what we have to do is we have to go to our app.js and add these two lines. Okay, we'll go to our code, app.js, and we'll just paste these two lines. And let's see whether our okay, and then what we will do is we'll go to our to-do list class again. We'll just do we will flex, justify, content center, and let's see whether we have okay. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Okay. So see, you don't have to write like there's if you go to the bootstrap, uh, get started with bootstrap, they have introduction, how to download, uh, how to get the layout done, like if you are familiar with the grid views, how we can do it. I think since you all are all undergrads and learning uh, software engineering or web development, you should know like how the layout works. So like this makes it much easier rather than having to write everything uh, from scratch. And the best part is like writing with bootstrap, like using bootstrap, you can get this responsiveness done uh, way easier than if you had to write it manually. Like you will have to use media queries and different other methods, like just to get okay, what's the viewpoint, and if this is the viewpoint, then I'll have to show it in a column. If it's larger than this much, I'll have to show it in a row. So it'll be like bit of a hectic job if you are going to write it manually. But with something like bootstrap, there's tailwind, you can use material UI, uh, and there's chakra, and there's many that you can use to achieve the same. Different libraries has different features, but most of them covers having to write like classes that takes particular hours of just writing styles to just make the UI beautiful, so that you can use something like bootstrap or any to get it done in few seconds even. Okay, we'll go back here. So this is our page now. What we want is like we want to show a list of uh, to-dos in our application. So let me get yeah, this one. To, uh, create. Give me a sec. What time to copy. Okay. In the chat, let me see whether I can paste this. Okay. Okay, I'll be pasting this in our peer document in the below section. You can copy this, and what you can do is you can create another folder called cons, and inside that you can name it to list cons.js, and you can just paste this. So like even in the industry, what will happen is like when you are working with a team, like just like yesterday, Randilu had to spend some time to get the APIs ready, and he'll have to deploy it in a environment so the front enders can use it and in their application. But with tight deadlines, so like if you are following agile scrums and everything, you'll have to create the UIs even before the API comes your way. Like even when it's being prepared, you'll have to just get it done, check whether the components are aligned. So what we can do is like create a dummy data set like this uh, in a cons file, or you can name it metadata or whatever that suits the scenario. And then we can use this set in your uh, application. What I'll do is I'll go to to-do list. Uh, on initial list. Okay, I have the initial list with me now. What I will do is I'll use two hooks which are in React, and these are the most two common lifecycle hooks in React, and one of them is the use state. I'll give the name full list here, and I'll full list use it, and I can create this. I can auto import this, and then what I will do is use effect. Uh, Basically, what use effect is like it's like a trigger whenever like we are having an dependency array. This little this array is called the dependency array. So whenever a change happens uh, to whatever value is in this dependency array, this use effect code will get executed. So like for now, like you all might thinking like you do have this entire list already in your hand. Why do you I have to put it to a use effect and to another variable as set full list? But uh, this is we are using a const array like with, but in the real life it's not it's not going to be an const array in our file. It's going to be an API or some WebSocket or any other way that we're going to get this array. So we have to catch that data set and then put it to our to a set of our own variables. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to prepare myself like for the future. Like I'm going to say, okay, when that uh, data set comes from an API, like my this like this is much really simple. This is a very simple part of a like the logic is very simple, but it can be very complicated in the real world. Like there can be sortings, there can be filtrations should happen before that. So if we ready ourselves in here, like the rework will be really less when the real data set comes in. So after adding this here, I will get the full list and I will map it out to do item. So, yeah, so in here, I'll have a div. Like every map or a list view that we are going to give, we have to give a unique ID for that that particular record. So in here, we'll have to have key to item.id. I think there was an ID there. Yes, there's an ID. Sorry. So then I can arrange this the way that I want. So I will be writing the classes that I had initially. I'll write a deflex. I want content to be spanned out, spanned out. Justify. um, And I'll have P, that's the title. Uh, then I'll have another one for the description. And then I'm gonna have an input. Oh, sorry, what in here? This is a checkbox that I want. So I will give the type checkbox here. And the default value, default checked, will be to do item dot status equals, like if you check in here in the list, I have a status. One is a set is incomplete. Actually, I have to change this a little. Incomplete will become in progress. This is to support Randilu's backend, and the is complete will be completed. And yeah, I'll save this. So I'll go to the to-do list here. Equals completed. It will be default by check, defaultly checked if it's completed. And then I'll have another component, another P. This is to show the status. In here, I need a small a ternary operator that is similar to what I did earlier, since what I'm getting from the backend is values as completed and in progress. I will want to show completed and incomplete. Okay, so let's see what okay, there's an error. Okay, yes. Okay. So what we have to do is we have to check the list. Okay, the list comes like this. So you can see, okay, I'll do a quick change here. Then it'll be much more clear to you. I'll have another, I'll remove, I'll use this. Oh, you to do item list, it's expanded out. You can have the checkbox in here, everything, and this. So you can see still it's not so clear at all what we are seeing and everything. So it's basically us having to style our components separately. So like if you get in here, like you can see uh, it's expanded out throughout the your UI. So what we can do is we can go here, um, and I'll have another div outside in here. Can paste it up. This will be our class and container. And then what I will do is I will remove this. I will add a W100, which says that to get the entire width. Then I will have another div here and that's delete flex, justify, then center. Okay, and move here, and then I will have another. Okay, it's in here. I can say cap 4, and I can say like even because this is a long, it's a paragraph. I can all this text from here. Okay, see, all of a sudden, it looks much more neater, cleaner now. So let me clean it a bit more by we can mention. So what I have done in here is like I have used the deflex, like it's like using the layout as a flex, and I have said justify content between. That means like take the entire area and represent the data set bit equally, and don't use paddings on both sides, just to widen it up and show everything. And at the same time, I have given a gap of 4. That means there'll be a gap of 2 rems or 1.5 rems per side. And then what I can do is I will wrap this in divs. Actually, you don't have to do it. You can write it directly in here. Like you can mention class name and you can give this value itself. But this way, the clarity is much more higher, though the code is going to be lengthy. So what I will do is I will say call 6. That's like when you are in a small screen, uh, show this in a space of 6 columns. In a large screen, it will be just medium size screen. It will be medium column size of 1. And then it's the title. I will give another div here, class name, call 6, and I'll give call MD of 3 to this. And for this, I'll give a class name of call 12, and a call medium, give 314. I'll give 5 here. And the last div, I will have to again go here, go here. Okay, and here it's last name, call, call 12. Then this will be another call 12, call MD. Okay. So all of a sudden, the UI looks much more cleaner. And yeah, I have one completed task. The checkbox is already checked. Give me a sec. Uh, so sorry. So sorry for that. Okay, where was I? Yeah. I will do this here. So since if you can see in here, uh, the to do is on top and like it's really on the edge of the screen. I will add a margin top there. Like what we can do is we can add a margin here by we don't have to mention anything, but we can add a empty 5 like this. It will add a margin up here, and if you inspect and if you go here and get it again like MT5, you can see it has had a margin top of 3 rems. So rem is actually 16 pixels, and okay, if we now go to see a mobile view and okay, something. Okay. It didn't change. Oh yeah. Okay. I'll have to change in here. Um, let's. Oh, no, I'll get back to it later. Before that, I will cover the first API. We might run out of time otherwise. Okay. Okay. So create our first API, like consume our first API. What I will do is I will uh, create a folder called service. And since we are gonna consume a to-do service, a list of to get the list of to-do services, to-do items, I will create the class as to-do. Yes. Okay. In here, what I will do is I will paste the link, the URL for the API path with you. Where's it in the chat? Okay, no, it didn't get. No, 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 no. Message, I'll post this. How can I send this to all from here? Everyone, yeah. Why? Okay, I don't know. I'll put it in that document itself at the bottom. You all can consume it from there. Like, what I will do is like I will create a variable called API URL, and I will pass this. Okay, and then I will create my first API get to do list. to. So since this is a we are retrieving the to-do list, and if you followed yesterday's course, like to get the to-do list you don't need any parameters to be passed, so I can directly call this function, and at the same time I have to make this an asynchronous function, so to tell the component that this is going to be an asynchronous call, so it will be waiting for the result uh, uh, that's like gonna call the API, get the data, and be fetched through our application. So what I will do is I will on response uh, uh, wait. I will be awaiting till the result comes back to my way. Fetch. I will use the fetch method to get the API call. What I will have to do is I can just call this API well, and then I will response JSON response, and I'm waiting till the JSON gets created and be fetched, and I'll be returning. Uh, okay. And what we can do is either we can export it below separately, or we can call export here directly. And what I will do in here, I'll go to my to-do list. I'll remove this, and uh, I will call uh, uh, fetch function. Oh no, sorry. What I will do is I'll get cons response from here by calling the get to-do list here, and I'll be setting it here. Response, and I can remove this set. Okay. Okay. We can did we add a console log here? No, we can add a console log and see what the response JSON return. Okay, okay, the promise is not being returned. Uh, okay, yeah, I found the error. We haven't waited. Then okay, the response is there. Full list is an error. Okay. Okay, the data is there. Okay. Uh, to-do list. Oh, yeah, my bad. I haven't awaited the function. Yeah. So yeah. So this is the list that's been coming from the backend. So there are three incomplete tasks and two incomplete and four completed tasks. So if you go and check our original application, it's the same. You can see these four are completed and these two are incomplete. And for now, for an example, if I move this and if I refresh this page, uh, the you'll get the updated list from here. Okay, so now I'll give you about 2 to 3 minutes if you want to try this out, and if there are any errors, you can get them working. Uh, and I'll continue from there. I'll do a little bit of more styling, and then I'll get at least the status change going. So you'll have some interaction that can be done. Okay, let's continue. We'll quickly try to get the status change going. So then we can then uh, talk about how we are going to break down our code into components, and why should we do it, and how should we do it. What will be a good practice? Because I won't say anything will be a best practice in React, as long as like it's up to you, like you decide like this will work the best for me or the best for that application that you are building. So it differs from the architecture to the application itself. So yeah, so what I will do is I'll have another function in the to do service itself, and it will be I will paste the code here. Yeah, and that will be this. I will explain all the codes, the code to you. Uh, it's we are going to update the status as earlier. Uh, it's an asynchronous call, and in here we will need to pass the ID of that particular row. That means whether we want to update this or this. So we want to pass in the ID. Uh, and then the next is what is the status that we want. Do we want to convert a completed task into incomplete task, or do we want to move an incompleted task to completed task? So that is the other value that we are passing as arguments. So it will be the same API URL, but as you all discussed yesterday, we are just passing the ID here, and the method of that call will be a patch, and the headers will just pass the content type. It will be application JSON, and what I will do is I will stringify the JSON body. Here it will be the status parameter should be passed to the backend, and I will be passing the value from there. Then like earlier, we'll await for the response, and we'll await the response to create the JSON, and we'll pass it. In here, what I have done is I have used the try catch here, because we are in here, like this is much more straightforward. Even here we would like to use a try catch, but in here we are generating an event in the backend. Like it will update the database and send you a value in return. So in here there is a chance of an error happening. Like maybe it can be in the backend, there can be a like, since like this is an open API, one can delete that particular record while you are trying to change the status or something like that, or any other, like there can be any connection issues or anything. So there can be a failure in there. So we are wrapping our process inside a try catch, and then if the response is like response comes perfectly, we'll be returning the response. Otherwise we'll be uh, passing a null value. And in our we'll go to our to-do list, and here what we'll do is we'll write a method called on status change, and we'll be getting a to in here, and this I will get it here. I will go to the input, and I'll be saying on change. Oh, no. I will be passing this to the right now. Uh, yeah. And in here, what I will do, since we are doing a asynchronous call inside this, I will be saying cons response await status, and I will pass to do item dot id and to do item dot status completed progress, otherwise. So what this ternary operator does, just like earlier, if it's completed, I will be changing its status into in progress. Yeah, otherwise, it will be converted into the status will be passed to completed. And then I will be checking if the response um, comes my way. I will let stage and let's try it out. Okay, let's come to this status change. And if you check in here, it's already changed in here. Like if you can see already there's 4 completed, and you can do anything from there. Change, change. Okay, and but you can see there's an issue now. So since though these two values have been changed now, but still the status is completed, because why we have not fetched the data, the new data set from the DB itself. So what we can do, we can just call these two in here. Sorry, I'm not sure when I was muted. So what I was saying was like we can use loaders or like progress bars to indicate that there's an uh, application, a process being happening, just like in this application, where you can, it will show a little animation here, and at the same time we have a fancy notification or a toaster saying that we have uh, processed the task and the task is completed now. And okay, now the tricky part. The tricky part is like obviously, let's say you have a table and you have a another input set, like when you have a create button and the two fields that you want to add another new task, you'll everything being in the same component will not work. So we'll have to break break our code into components which are mainly focused on getting a single task done. Like for an example, if you take this part from from here, we'll take the entire this part is responsible uh, for viewing this part of the record, this record. So what we can do is we can separate this out and create another component called to do item or to do card. It's up to you, like whatever makes a better sense of what you are going to do and what that component is representing. You can name it in that manner, but like there should be conventions. Like let's say if I make name this part to do, and if I am creating another to do like a new to do item, it should be to do item create or create to do item. uh, it's a good bad practice to call that save to do or to do save, and this to be to do update and going having you should keep into a single naming convention, and it should the you should follow a pattern when you are naming your components. So in here I will create an oh sorry to do item.js. Basically, you import this and what you can do, return this here and get this entire part as here. So now comes the next problem. How are we gonna pass those values? What we like in here, it was like you had this object in here itself and you could pass them here. But in here, you don't have those values with you. You'll have to get it from your parent component. So this is an example where I told earlier, like one-way data binding, like getting data from front your parent and passing it to your child. So what we can do is we can use the props object, like whatever, like if we have it like this, we can mention things like all the variables like ID, status, title. These are the values that we need to showcase, show the output. So in here, what we have to do is we can remove this, then this. Then just let's just forget this line for now, and like if you are following this properly, like you should understand, like if there's a component that takes in about uh, a lot of variables, naming it in it in here itself will be bit messy, hard to read. So what we do instead, we call an object called props, and what we do is we deconstruct it like this and use it in our application. So then comes the next part, that's passing a value from our child, uh, from a child component to the parent. So if it was a two-way binding, what you can do is somehow you will be able to put it in here, and you will be able to pass it to your parent or pass it to uh, pass it in another way to your parent, but we can't do that. So what we'll do is we will, instead of passing
a variable, we will pass this method, and sadly, we don't have the entire object with us. But what we can do is we can send the ID and status directly from here, and we can omit this part completely. And we will have to pass those values in ID to do right ID title title and then it will be status and to do status, and then I will get this from here. I will get status and change here, but in here we will have to do a change here now. Instead of to do item itself, I will have to pass in ID and status, and I will have to remove this. Okay, let's see. Okay, I haven't passed a key prop here. Like as I said, you always have to pass a unique ID to each repetitive component in a map. And in here, you can see I haven't called in like when passing or mentioned about a variable called key, but in here I can give it as to do item.id and sorry, uh, that error is not there anymore. You can see the UI hasn't changed, but if you check our code in here, now it's much more cleaner. Like we have the list is shown here. You know, okay, it's returning a to do item list here. Uh, and if you go to your to do item, it's just that it's a row of data, and it's uh, really clear what's it's doing. And we have separated it from our other logic. So, and if we go here and if we do this, and still it works, and the status changes just like before. So that's the separation of logic that I wanted to show you. And next, let's try to create a task, new task there. So what I will do is I will create another folder to do item create. So by using create, update, delete, or whatever the functionality at the end of the name, you can see you can find all the things related to each other, like next to each other. But if we use the create in front, create will be in another place, the delete will be in another place, update in another place, or uh, it's like the readability or like finding the components will be hard, but there are practices where you do that. Like if you want all the creates of it can be a to-do item, like let's say it's a repository, student management, or a class management application, then you want to have the create student, create class, create lecturer, all this in single like near each other to uh, clarify it in that manner. So that sort of a naming convention is followed like, when there. And in here, what we can do is actually we can rename this create edit, because most probably in most of the places that you will be working in the industry or anywhere, you will be using the same form for the create and edit, because it will be the same fields, just that when it's the create functionality, there will be no preloaded values, but in the edit functionality, it will be the preloaded values will be passed from the parent to you. So but the functionality will be the same. You'll add or remove some of the content from there and save it. So we can follow this, but for now, since we are just gonna work on the create, let's save it as create, and we'll create a file called to do item create.js. And like the other times, we'll have to import React. Okay, here we go. We'll have some return here. We'll have what we'll do is we'll have a div plus order for secondary px p4, and we'll have a w already here. And inside we'll have a form and some all the forms have uh, an on-submit event. What it means is when all your required fields are filled, or if there's no required fields, it will fire by itself by default. And when you click on a button with the type submit, it will call this function. So it actually checks whether all your required fields are filled. I'll show you while we are coding. So for now, I'll have on submit. We are past distance. Okay. What we can have is an input, the type text. By default, it's always text, but as a practice, we usually put that. And then we have a class name, home control, and then I'll have this. Uh, let's I'll have a placeholder value saying enter, and then I'll have a text area here. Area it will be class name control and then place and I'll make this required and I'll have div div next. Then I'll have two buttons. I'll have a cap of 3 here. So this is what I said. I'll have a type. This will be button, class name, BT and BT and secondary. So all these BT and secondary all are coming from Bootstrap. So when I show you the UI, you'll understand how. So this will be submit. Okay. So for now we'll have a console here. So what's happening? Log. And what I will do, I will have to use state variables. One is for title, set title. There are better ways of doing it, and like you can have an object and use reducers to get the value of an input. But since we are starting with React, this is a better way or a clear way of achieving this. Okay, so I'm starting with and I'll pass this title and this one with the value and on chain. What I can do is set description target value dot oh, not value, it should be on chain. Okay, and we'll have sorry. And we can just do this. we can have go to do list on top, and we'll have another div here. Last name. Word. M by 4, and let's see what has happened. See, okay, so this is the output that we have gotten. We have a title button and a description, and if we try to okay, I have named it wrongly. The button here should be save. Okay, so save, and if we try to uh, save it now, it will say please fill in this field because this was a required field. But if we go and put a value here and save it, you can, I'm not sure whether you will be able to see this. You can see that uh, 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 console log has been printed in our UI. And then what we can do is we can bring those values to our main component, and we can try to save it. What I will do is props. I'll say cons details on create task. Here we go. What they can do is if it's here, we can on create task. I can pass the title and the description, and here, and I'll go to the to-do list, and I'll create this. Or you can just call it itself. Because we gave it the name. It will be title and description. And what I will do for now, I'll CLG both and show you. Right. Okay. Let's check. Okay, we can refresh this page again. And some title. Yeah, see, that's been passed to our outer component. So I will quickly copy the code for the to-do service. And I will explain it rather than having to write it all. So I will add it in here because like in the CRUD itself, like we get the get first, then the create task. So basically what I have, what we have in here is something just like this, but except for the patch method, we are using the post method, and we are passing the title and the description. And you can see in here what I have done is I'm passing the status here, but I am not taking it in the from the component, but I am hard coding it in here because I know by default when creating a task, it should always be in the in progress state rather than in the
uh, completed state. And like earlier, I am wrapping this with a try catch and passing the value. So what we can do is we can take this and to do item this one. We can go here. So since we are calling an asynchronous function, we'll have to make this an asynchronous response. And I will await this, and I will pass in the title and the description. Remove this and delete this. What I will do next is I will again check for the response. That's whether it's been saved properly. And I will say alert new task created, and for the sake of it, I'll add an alert in here saying oops, something went wrong, and I will save it and let's check it out. We'll have we'll say make pudding. Some and new task created. But if you remember, we didn't add a line because of that. Like see, the make a pudding is being added, but it didn't get refreshed because we did not add these two lines. Let's say make tea. Tea. And we save it now. And it will be added in here with the incompleted state. Yeah, that's basically what I wanted to cover in this session, and the time is also almost up. I will share the code base for this particular UI, as well as even this and what we did for today with y'all through a Git link after this meeting. Yeah, Harinder, to you, I guess.
Yes, thank you, Ishan, for that wonderful session. And ladies and gentlemen, it's the time for Q&A. And we do have 9 questions so far. The first question is, what is the next step after getting familiar with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript? Is it a framework or a JS library like React?
Sorry, I didn't get it.
It's asking what is the next
library. Yeah,
so it's asking what is the next step after
yeah, so
learning
basically
HTML.
there are architects who are still learning JavaScript. JavaScript is like a very vast area. There are so many stuff and so many things that you can learn in it. At the same time, you can explore stuff like if you want to live in the JavaScript world, there's Vue.js, Angular, and even in React, there's like TypeScript, React, and JavaScript. You can do Next.js, and at the same time, you can like even if in CSS, you can go for the SAS, that's CSS or less, or there are ways of styling it, creating responsive designs, creating interactive designs. Like it's a like it's like an ocean, like it's a huge area. So it will take a long time for someone to just finish JavaScript or something like that. So yeah, that will be my answer for that.
All right. Next question. Do I have to learn React before learning React Native?
Uh, it's bit similar, but it's like two different things. Like React Native is mainly for mobile, and if you know a little bit of mobile, like there are no HTML or CSS over there. It's like they are mocking, trying to mock it in a way like that. But so it's a totally different thing from React. React is mainly for front ends using web. React Native is purely for mobile development.
Okay. The next question. What are the beginner projects that we can do to master React? And any other tips other than projects to become good at React?
The first thing I would say is JavaScript. There are sites like Codavos where it gives you logical areas that logical questions using. You can use JavaScript, TypeScript, or any other language. So try to do something like that if you want to expertise JavaScript. At the same time, when it comes to projects that you want to do, uh, this to-do app, you can take it to different levels. Even like right now, even what we have built there, we don't have a login screen there. It's like an open. You can add a login form. You can have uh, what you call authentication. You can have Firebase for the backend, so you don't need to have that Java backend. You can call a Firebase directly and work with that and get it done. So at the same time, go through all the, like what I did in the beginning was like I would try to find beautiful UIs, like web designs in different applications, and I try to mock them by myself using Angular or React, like just to mock them and see how good I am in with them. That's how I learned HTML and basically JavaScript.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next question. Can you explain a bit about async function?
Async function is like whatever we do in JavaScript, React, or Angular or Vue, everything happens asynchronously. This button click and then other button click is not related to each other, and it will not form uh, one after another. But in with asynchronous, what we are telling is, okay, we have a functionality that's gonna take a little bit time, so we are putting that wait key term, just okay, wait for this. But we are telling whatever is outside this asynchronous function can work on itself. Like it doesn't have to wait till this task is completed for it to continue its life cycle.
All right. Next question. Instead of using Bootstrap, how to create a UI using Figma or similar tool and get that design to the front end? Is there a proper way to get the styles from Figma?
There are some ways. I'm not particularly sure how well it will be. Like that's an export. Still, it's like writing custom CSS. It will not cover each and every style that's in the Figma, and even in Figma, you'll have to add those styles and copy it somehow to here. Like I think there are exporting tools, but what Bootstrap brings is the layout, the easiness of creating a layout, easiness of styling a component uh, without having to write those custom classes. Like for instance, like we have one Bootstrap file, a bin file there, and we can use it throughout our application. But if you import an Figma, it's separated for each and every view. So you will have those .css classes next to each file, and your what you call bundle will grow. So and sometimes it will have duplicate classes as well. What Bootstrap does is like it's providing us a way that we can omit these duplications and use CSS in a more useful way. Yeah.
All right. some good references to learn the basics?
Udemy is a good place. Like it will cost you, but if you want to go for free ones, there are so many good tutorials in YouTube even. And React is a very like a fast growing thing. There are so many references in YouTube, so you don't have to worry to find the right one. There'll be a lot.
Okay. And also someone says the repo shared last night is not yet accessible, and whether you can make it public.
We'll definitely make it public. I think Sukitha is not here. Like he will make it available as soon as possible.
Okay. What are the most used React templates developers use in the industry to build large-scale applications?
If you are meaning like UI templates, there are millions to buy there, but mostly now the entire industry is moving away from the template work, and they are going with their own architectures for each project. Like for one, they will need what I used I used a layer called service. Some use a layer called hooks instead of that, writing custom hooks. And for UIs, you have headless UI components. Chakra is something like Bootstrap, but it also gives you pre-built components. But always the beauty of React is like you can create your own components in the way that you want. So people try to move away from pre-built templates, so it won't look the new design will look unique.
All right. The final question, could you please list down all the VS Code extensions you're using on the shared doc, at least the ones that you are that are most useful for React?
Okay, sure. I will do that. Yeah, I'll list down it just like how I have done the rest. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. And that winds up the Q&A session. Thank you so much for sharing knowledge for 2 days with us, Gapstars and our wonderful mentors. I'm sure we all learned so much, and we all appreciate your time and effort in helping us to make this webinar series very successful. And as a gesture of that, token of appreciation is ready for you. Deoma will share it. Yes, and ladies and gentlemen, can we get a virtual round of applause? Maybe you can use the Zoom reactions. All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And yes, that winds up the 2 webinar series of MERN Stack. And thank you all for joining up. And the recordings of these sessions will be available soon, and it will be uploaded to YouTube. So do subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the notification icon so you won't miss anything. And also don't forget to follow us on our social media. And yes, thank you once again for joining with us. And it's been a pleasure being your host for these 2 days. And that's all from me. And have a very good night.